Hey YouTube, this is Nashtaters. Welcome back to another episode of War of Divisions. So today's Tuesday, not a whole lot going on. And Tuesday's always been that weird gap between, transition of a week to week because of the fact that usually new events will come on Wednesday. And we all know there ain't a whole lot going on this Wednesday. But there are a lot of interesting news. And the biggest one really is about what's been going on global with the banners and everything. I think I'm going to give you a brief opinion of mine on the situation. And then essentially I'm going to be spending the rest of the video talking about Trials of Reckoning and how I've been approaching it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the banner. Now, obviously this situation has already occurred on JP. And as you can see, mine has already been disappeared. So that means I already did mine. And I didn't think too much of it when I did mine. And then, of course, I saw Dig's video. And by the way, he did an exceptional job covering this content. So I don't really need to go into details what's going on. If you haven't already done so, which I'm sure you have, just go ahead and check out his video on it. I think the biggest takeaway for me really is I want to maintain my neutrality on the situation. But I do want to stand by the community, both on the JP and on the global server. I think we as consumers need to stick together. We need to stand up together and kind of tell the companies that, we do not tolerate these type of situations. I think the recent situation on JP is that their producer finally made so to speak, like an apology, if you will, to the community there. And I think took a little long time for them to do so. And you need to kind of make an apology a little bit shortly after something that happened. I think the word they used was error. And I think that's fine if that was the actual case, because if this situation isn't going on global, then perhaps you can actually go ahead and call it an error. But now that it's happening on both servers, I think the player base are having their reluctance to believe that it was in fact an error, but perhaps more of a strategic planning on the company's part. In which case, I feel like the trust is definitely completely lost for the most part for most players. I think I don't want people to simply quit the game at this point. I think there's still many ways we can, maneuver around the situation. I think currently, perhaps the quote-unquote error is only happening on the UR guaranteed banners. But we can't help as players to have suspicion that it could be happening on a normal banner as well. So I think some adjustments personally I want to make would be, of course, spend less money, and I think I can definitely say this with the confidence that I want to ask the community to start speaking with your wallet instead of simply speaking with words, because words don't really work against companies like Gumi. And I've been having an excessively long history with Gumi, and that's why sometimes in my videos in the past I call them scummy, because I like to call them gummy, right? And I know I got kind of a little backlash about how I'm being negative and things like that. Well, was I really being negative, or is this warranted? I'll let y'all decide at the end of the day, right? But sometimes when you have long track history like Gumi, it tends to kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth, and it is what it is. But I still love the product they are putting out, because I don't think they need to put a whole lot of effort into the product itself, because the product is very good. The character designs and whatnot, they are a very solid team, and I don't think the designers and the people who did the art and things of that nature has anything to do with the people who make the decisions to make these quote-unquote marketing schemes or strategies, whatever you want to call it. And I think I'm going to leave all of this to a little bit more time to see how, Mr. Hiroki, the global producer, react to this situation. And we'll see what happens in the next few days. But I think that's all I'm going to say about that, because I think ultimately, the community is fully aware of what's going on. And I think, like I said, Diggs did an exceptional job with the presentation of the scenario. So I think the rest of the video I really want to talk about in terms of how I want to approach the game, and of course, how I'm doing on Trials of Reckoning. Now, a little updates, obviously, to give you... I don't want to give you the footage of the summons, because it's kind of pointless now, because people probably don't care, because everybody knows there's some sort of speculation that there is some riggedness to the situation of the summons. But I'd like to let you know what I got. I got Aldara, I got Glaciala. I think I forgot who my other two units that I got, but they were both repeats and they're not really worthy of mentioning. So I decided to keep it, and this was my first summons. I decided not to go to the second summons. my hopes was to get Super Stern, but I was actually quite happy with my second calculator and with Glaciala. Now, I know I did say Glaciala is definitely a lot better than Laswell, but now I think about it, I think Laswell is actually really solid, and Glaciala is more or less a hit or miss per se because of the fact that, you know, she's a water unit. In many situations, she can be easily countered, but she does have guaranteed hits, which I enjoy. And so I think I'll build her and kind of add her to my now stacked piercing team. So I have obviously Eileen I want to work on, and now I have Glaciala, and of course I have Victora. So I have the Ice Lance for Victora. I'm working on the +5 Wind Spear for either Glaciala and or Eileen. Of course, that will lead me to need to find one more spear, because if I use all three at the same time, which sometimes you should, then I need to find me another weapon. And I think ultimately I just farm another Ice Lance, because getting another +5 Wind Spear is almost impossible unless they bring the event back. And I think that's kind of where I am right now, and I'm very happy with the result. And as you can see, in the last video I already showed you that I'm almost done with my Demon Wall. And right now I need 200, right? 75 plus 125 is 200, and there's 75 in the shop, which I have not touched. So essentially I need one more shard. So on my next subsequent Whimsy, I will go ahead and get a +3 and I should be finished. So here's the situation. I think Trials Reckoning is a very good event, but I don't think I have enough experience to kind of give you a sort of a guide per se. And I didn't really do too much of that last time either, because I only went for, I think, a +3 ribbon. And I think people are saying that this event is a little bit easier than the ribbon event, which leads me to believe, man, that is a lot of grinding to get the +5 ribbon. And here's where I stand in terms of everything. I don't think I truly care about +5 URs, because yes, they're great, but the bout of attrition really makes a bigger difference in terms of PvE content, or excuse me, PvP content. In PvE content, you can actually get away without using any UR quality equipment at all, which currently I don't really have many UR equipments maxed. Actually, I don't have any maxed. And I've been just kind of getting away with, I don't want to use the word get away. I've been doing really well, exceptionally well actually, with simply using MR equipment. And so I think people need to understand, you don't need to go hardcore on everything this game has to offer to you, because you don't really, technically speaking, need it if you're only concentrating on PvE. In terms of PvP, of course, you want to have the best possible stuff so you can destroy your opponents, if that's your thing. Now, I want to talk about how I approach the event and what my personal strategies were. I actually did not read up on strategies in terms of what other people are telling me to do, but I gathered a little bit of information about the questing in terms of what to farm every day from the ribbon event. So here's how I approached the situation. Basically, obviously, everyone needs to clear all the quests and make sure you do all the different quests however many times in order to get all the bonus materials. And then, of course, every day you need to go ahead and do the hards. Make sure you get the 3 quests done out of the way for each one, because they're obviously limited. Now, this is where, in my opinion, my strategy comes in. If you're only going for the 500,000 total score, which essentially will get all these nice stuff, because most accounts will not be able to do this if they're fairly new or maybe they're mid-game accounts, right? If you're late game accounts, then definitely you should be able to do the whole event without any issues at all. But for those beginners accounts and lower level accounts, whatever, your goal really is just to keep farming till you hit 500,000. Because I think what this can potentially give you, without doing any boss battles, you may be able to get, I believe, a +4. And I think that's more than enough. I believe the +4 stats, if you max everything, is better than the +5 Ice Lance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at least that's what I read. So I think that's more than enough for a lot of units to be using a +4, because it's a UR, right? It's going to have statistically more numbers. So I think that's more than enough. And that's my goal on my free-to-play account, is just simply get a +4. Don't need to sit here and hardcore farm 2 accounts to +5. That's insanity. In fact, I'm going to tone down heavily on my free-to-play account in terms of future events. Like, for example, Final Fantasy X, probably just going to go for none at all, right? Just seriously, I don't want to grind it at all. And any other future events in terms of MR recipes, sure, I'll do those, right? Because I can just do multi and that should be easy. But in terms of raids, in terms of these box events for my free-to-play account, completely ignore, because I realize I don't care about it. I don't do PvP much anyways, and you know, I can clear PvE content just fine. And I think I would just concentrate on farming these things on my main account, which it should be, because that's where I'm spending the money. Therefore, I'm getting the units that perhaps my free-to-play account do not have access to. In terms of what you need to do, in my opinion, is farm Trials Reckoning Quest Hard number 3 if you're looking to get to 500 total score as fast as possible. Because what essentially means is you're going to get the most bang for your buck for that specific quest. I think you can get probably 800, maybe what, 800, 900? I don't remember what the best I can personally do because I don't have Kane. So yeah, so it looks like I almost got 900. So seemingly that's the best farm, because on normal the best I can do is only 368. So obviously it's 12 energy for here and then 6 energy. So obviously if you did the simple math, you'd do a lot more and you're going to reach 500,000 a lot faster, and if that's your main goal. Now bear in mind, we're also going to be getting excuse me here, let me see if I can find it. You're also going to be getting total score ranking as well. Unfortunately, this reward isn't all that great, and chances are most of us will be in this range as is. So that's not really a big deal. So I think once you hit 500,000, you should be happy with what you got, get your +4, and then just walk away. But for the other players who feel like, you know, they want to do more than that, which this is the total high score, which I would never get too high because I don't have, again, Kane to get me those crazy units. So realistically speaking, none of these scores really matters to me anymore, as long as I hit what I got to do. So if you don't care about the actual total scores and things of that nature, then you want to start working on normal number 5. This one is super fast. You can actually kill the demon wall with 2 units, maybe even 1 unit, and you can be done just a matter of seconds. And subsequently, you'll be getting anywhere from 1 to 2 or 3, I believe, tickets for bosses. So statistically speaking, this is the fastest way to get more boss tickets. With the harder one, you can get up to 1 to 5, but there are many times where I only got 1. So and it takes longer, by the way. So technically speaking, this is the best, in my opinion, and for getting, just hoarding tons of boss tickets. And even if you trigger Whimsy, you should still continue to farm. Just farm all day, every day, and just leave it running as long as you have enough energy to do so, because you want to earn as many boss tickets as possible. Because from my calculations, you need a ton of boss tickets in order to actually get everything you want out of the boxes, right? So that's my suggestion. If you only care about points before you hit 500,000, go for hard 3, because that's the best bang for your buck in terms of points accumulation. And then once you hit 500,000, since you no longer get bonus rewards, I will highly suggest farming normal. If this is a big if you continue to want to farm this event to try to get the +5 spear. If your goal is to get a +4, you should be more than enough when you hit 500,000 to get a +4, I believe, and you should be done. So that's my philosophy towards this specific event. I think going in the future, I believe someone said that this event is actually easier because they actually give you the plus weapons, whereas the ribbon then just only gave you recipes. So it should have been a little bit more difficult to obtain in terms of time of farming. I promise you, I'm not a fan of these type of events, because anytime you make us farm for 2 straight weeks and you basically ignore everything else, I'm not a fan of that, because I don't really enjoy that concept. I don't think games should be about farming every day. It should be something you have the option to do, not necessarily something you must do. And I know people can always argue, I don't actually have to do any of this, but it would be kind of nice to have the ability to just, you know, not have to do it, so to speak, right? Because the fact that they offers these events, especially this armor one, for, you know, what, 28 days, but realistically speaking, it's only 2 weeks, because the majority of us will be farming the spear event anyways. So making this thing a moot point of giving us a 28 days. Just a little nitpick that I have there for you, but I think that's all the time I have for this video. I want to thank y'all for watching. I want to thank y'all for the continued support. Let me guys know what you guys think about, you know, any of the subject I talked about in this video, you know, and it is what it is. And I think going forward, we just need to make adjustments in accordance how we play the game. It is unfortunate we have to do that, because we were all having such a great time within the first, you know, 6 months of the gameplay. But if it comes down to this, it comes down to this. And if I'm forced to walk away from this game, I'm okay with that too. You know, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world, right? There are other things I can do with my life. There's other things I can do with my time. And speaking of which, time is your most valuable resource, so spend it wisely. Until next time, take care of yourself, all your loved ones. Nashtaters and his family out of here. Peace.